bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade2Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade2Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade2Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? Today's Wednesday, September 13th, 2019. 317 days into the new year, just 49 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade2Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? All right. Tonight, so excited about this show. What a week on Fade2Black. And tonight, Ed Nightingale is here. Now, did you know that 2019, this is the 500th anniversary of the death of Leonardo da Vinci? Yeah, 2019. 500 years. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. You go back and you look at, not only his paintings and his drawings, but it was his notes, it was his ideas, it was his sketches and his visions. Not so sure if, I don't know. I don't know if he was a time traveler, if he had a time traveler visit him with these ideas, if he borrowed the ideas from somebody else, where he got the idea. I don't know. I don't know, but the drawings are incredible. The ideas are incredible. He was a visionary. Renaissance man, maybe the original. He might be the original, the OG Renaissance dude. And tonight, Ed Nightingale is going to lay out his analysis of Leonardo's paintings and work with the Giza template. Holy crap. Now, we have got over 40 images that Ed is going to present tonight. And so you do need to, it's very comprehensive, and we are going to lay out everything in order in Twitter. So if you want to follow everything that we're talking about tonight, you're going to want to follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio, and get over to the sandbox, hashtag F2B. You might, if you don't want to do any of that, you're trying to figure out how to get all this done, you can follow Rita at GCRN, it's GCRN Fade2Black with the number 2. You can follow Rita. It'll be up in her feed too as well. But you're going to want to follow this. We will put together a video later of this broadcast with all of the images in order so we can archive. And we'll get that up on YouTube, but it's not going to be for a while. This is Fade2Black. Our guest tonight, Ed Nightingale. We're going to be talking about Leonardo da Vinci and the Giza template. We have got an amazing presentation lined up for all of you. We're going to have over 40 images presented in order. A great presentation with Ed tonight. Get over to Twitter, hashtag F2B. All of the images are going to be presented right there. You can also follow Rita at G, will be in her feed as well. This is Fade2Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Fade2Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Okay, let's go through these instructions again. Our guest tonight is Ed Nightingale. All right, this is what we're going to do. We've done many shows with Ed. You know how we do it. Over on Twitter, hashtag F2B, and also on Rita's feed at GCRN Fade2Black, are going to be over 40 images. Okay? And we're going to go through each one because 2019 is the 500th anniversary of the death of Leonardo da Vinci. And tonight, Ed is going to present his research on how Leonardo composed 20 of his paintings with an overlay of the Giza template. Now, in his book, The Giza Template, the Leo-Orion Relationship, Nightingale explained the significant astronomical aspects of the Giza Plateau and the template being used in its architecture. Great works of art, symbolism, from the days of its construction all the way through to the present day. His website is thegizatemplate.com. We've done many shows. We've not only here on Fade2Black, but over on Coast to Coast. And his research is singular. It's incredible. And I would like to welcome back to Fade2Black, Ed Nightingale. Ed, good evening, man. How are you?
Jim, how are you? Great to talk with you again.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. A couple of months ago when you hit me with this, I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding. This is going to be another mind-blowing. It's like, oh, man. And you had warned me. You were like, you know, Jimmy, I'm serious. We need to get some other researchers looking at this. I want to present what's going on here, but I think I've got something, and it's going to be big. So you sent me the images, and this is what I've got a pretty cool photo viewer here, right? And I'm able to click through them really fast, right? Just click, 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 looking at the overlay on them in rapid fire. It is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I've looked at all of these, and I have just, I'm speechless on this. So I'm very excited about tonight's presentation. And I know it's going to be a long, detailed, comprehensive look at this artwork. And it's going to be a very solid 2.5 hours. Are you ready to go?
We're ready, Jimmy. Yes, sir.
Okay. Speak into your phone, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
okay.
that?
Yeah, I need you back.
Okay.
I need you back. Okay. The first thing, before we jump into this, because we have to do a primer for a few minutes on what the Giza template is, and you've got the presentation laid out that way. We'll get to that. But before we go that far, I know that you've looked into other great works of art, including Leonardo's, over the years, and we've discussed it in depth on this show. But when it comes to Leonardo's work specifically, what made you just go and take a much closer look at this? What kicked it off?
Well, I was always interested in Leonardo's work, and I had been noticing, you know, in these paintings, a lot of Renaissance paintings, you know, how they're all pointing, and, you know, there's like a lot of imagery where they're just really using their fingers and their hands and their feet pointing at different things. And I don't know, it was intuition or whatever. I thought there was more to it than just paintings. And I could almost see, as I would look at these different paintings, I was seeing similar like positions, again, of hands, feet, fingers pointing, their heads tilting, and, being familiar with the template and knowing the angles and things that pertain to the great year and the clock that's really encoded there at Giza in this template. I could see a similar positions and composition, if you want to call it that. And I one day I just decided I was going to look at. I think it was Mona Lisa. I think I initially looked at, and everybody was always wondering about the smile of Mona Lisa. And, a lot of other people have looked into, what's the mystery behind that? Was Leonardo trying to, put something in there and tell us something? Well, it's true. He most certainly did, and all of his work that I've really looked at, which has really been about 24 paintings I've actually really done solidly, and there's probably more, and other artists as well. Like I said, Raphael, Michelangelo, looked at a lot of the paintings in the Vatican, in the Capitol building.
Well, there's the way that I look at it is I would hate to be you, because now you look at stuff and the Giza template is burned into your retina. So you're able to overlay the Giza template on anything that you look at. And when it comes to the great masters, whether it's architecture, it's painting, it's design, any of these great masters understand aesthetics and ratios. For some of them in master works, it can come naturally that these ratios in the Fibonacci sequence and things like this formulate naturally because they're creating a great work of art that they know that is visually appealing, but they don't necessarily understand why. Right, and you're able to go back and look at this and go, oh, okay, well, they've got the golden ratio here. They've got pi that is implied, and there's other things that just because these geometric formations and angles are pleasing to the eye. But and I know you understand where I'm going at. But when it's Leonardo, this is somebody that understood ratios. He understood the ratios of the human body. He understood angles, and all of that was incorporated in his inventions and other things throughout his life. And the possibility of all of this working out is strong, that he very well could have understood and knew what the Giza template was and incorporated it into everything. And for him, it completes the masterwork. Knowing that these very complex numbers and these elegant sequences fit and his artwork was designed around that. So for him, being the engineer and the visionary that he was, that had to have been very pleasing for him, right? Incorporating the two.
Right. Well, it is a natural sequence, these Fibonacci sequence and all that, and it is pleasing to the eye. It is something that we're drawn into, just by the nature of the beauty of these proportions and these numbers. But specifically, what they were doing there is what this template is it's a map and it's a clock, just like the zodiac constellations is part of it. We go around our sun. The planet goes around our sun, and we have the astrological signs of the zodiac that kind of map out that year of our Earth year. But there's also this great year, and that part of it is mapping out the path of the sun, because the sun doesn't just sit in space and we just move around it. The sun is moving, and it's moving away from its birthplace. where it was birthed. And there's a lot of controversy, I guess, as to where the sun was birthed. And there was, at one point, they were talking about, I think M81 was the stellar nebula where the sun was birthed, which happens to be and fall right on the path of this map that is at Giza, which clearly indicates that the sun was birthed in the nebula of Orion's nebula, in the M42 nebula in particular. And that's what this map is it's literally a map of the motion of our sun as it moves away from Orion in a spiral. The path is spiral, but the sun actually moves helically, like if you can imagine electricity flowing down a wire.
Right, and let me jump in. Let me jump in, Ed. Right there. We're gonna illustrate all of this as we move on tonight, and it's best you best illustrate it with your work. So we'll get to that.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's start. We've got so much to cover tonight. Let's go straight to the cover of your book, which is image number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the Giza template. That was my first book. Temple Graal, Earth Measure, is really what they had to do at Giza is, first of all, in order to give this map to us, you had to know how to measure. So the measuring system is all part of what's at Giza in this template. The way it's laid out, it's like a big puzzle that once you find you get the idea of what's there and find the center point of that template, and you follow it along, there's each little part you figure out, there leaves clues for the next. So you build this and you understand the measuring system, how it's laid out, and then the coordinates of the Earth are actually in that as well. So that all that information is needed in order to understand this great year and the motion of the stars. You need to know how to measure. So that's like the first part of it. So my first book is basically the Earth Measure and the system of measure. And it's all there, how the whole measuring system is laid out, where it comes from, how all the pyramids were determined in their sizes and their angles, why they're there. It's all in that first book.
The second image is your second book, the Giza Template, Heaven's Measure, Seasons of the Great Year.
Yep, that I'm working on. I haven't released that yet. I just need a little bit more time and to complete it. I have all the research completed. Just need to really assemble it and get it published. But that then takes a look at the pyramid complex as basically in two parts. There's the three belt stars of Orion aligning with the three pyramids, as Robert Bouval, that was his original idea. And that's one aspect of it with Orion. The second aspect is the Sphinx and the Leo, the constellation of Leo in our constellations of the zodiac. And by the way, zodiac means animal sculpture. So if we're talking about an animal sculpture being the zodiac, the Sphinx would be the ultimate animal sculpture,
and
which is located.
Yeah, go ahead. What I was going to say is that all of this originates at the top, the crown of the head of the Sphinx. That's the point. That's the point of origin for everything that follows.
Mm-hmm. That's where you would want to view any of this information I'm giving anybody about the calendar and these alignments can all be done. Anybody can do this with stellarium or any kind of star gazing software and put in the coordinates of the Sphinx, just like you're sitting between his paws, and view the horizon and go through it. You'll notice that on December 21st, 2012, which is the galactic alignment, and this is key to the whole thing. This whole clock is aligned with the galactic alignment. That's like our 0 hour, or 12 o'clock. And when you look from that point on that day, 0 hour literally is the sun rising. So if you sat there on December 21st, 2012, and you watched the sun rise, it would be 0 hours. So that's where it all starts. And then from then on, you can roll the clock ahead and see the next groups of stars that come up. And the important ones were Sirius, and they were looking at the Pleiades, and of course the nebula of Orion. And that's all very significant on how this whole thing is aligned.
Let's go to image number 3.
Okay, image number 3. So we're looking at the plateau. That's a satellite image of the Giza plateau, the 3 large pyramids there, in the red, the white, and the blue, and you can see the Sphinx toward the bottom, and that's the image that we will be laying the constellations of the zodiac over, and I'll show you how in the next image. I'll show how that constellations of the zodiac lay over that.
Okay, let's go. Let's go to image number 4. Let's go straight to it. And now, and I've said this so many times with you, this is where things start to get a little complex, but don't let it get complex, because it's actually very simple and very elegant. So now let's go to image number 4.
Okay, so image number 4, all we did there was, with the template there, we have that square, and we drew a circle in that square, and the Sphinx, where the Sphinx is located, is 7/13 of the circle, and that is actually the ecliptic view. So if we look at the constellations of the zodiac, which lie along the ecliptic, which is the path of our sun as we view it, so that circle in the center there, there's actually 13 constellations in the zodiac that go around, and beginning with Regulus, the star Regulus in Leo, which is aligned with the Sphinx. And that is an image taken at sunrise. The positions of the stars and the planets and whatever in this image were taken from December 21st, 2012.
Got you. And again, everybody, you can see the spiral, the green circle that is passing through the crown of the Sphinx. You can see that there. That is, you can see where Regulus is down at the bottom in the green square. But that is the Sphinx, the yellow grouping. It says Sphinx next to it. And you can start to see this, what I find really interesting just with this first image. You can see, as you follow the constellations with the green circle that is going through, you can see how the Giza Plateau is lining up with the constellations nearly perfectly. You can see this. You can start to see the formulation of everything that we're about to present tonight.
Right. And what they were doing is they were laying these constellations out according to this geometry. If you look, I mean, the more you look, the more you can see how these constellations align with the geometry. And that's because they were designed around the geometry. These astronomers or whoever really put this together were choosing stars that were located in the proximity of the geometry that they were trying to show, and they were drawing literally in the stars shapes of and figures that could tell a story. And
there's no question. I know, and there's no question about that. And when you look at number 4, you can see the Fibonacci spiral coming out of the Sphinx. You can see the originations of that, so you can follow that out. But look at the intersections of the circles with the angles and the alignments of the pyramids, the sides of the pyramids, the center of the Khafre pyramid. Everything starts to lay out, and it's all because of the original alignment with the Fibonacci sequence, Regulus, and December 21st, 2012, and the overlay. That's the only way that this works. But when you do it like that, everything here has a purpose.
Correct. And just here's a quick little insight here. The Big Dipper, if you look right on kind of the top, just above the Leo and the Sphinx up there, you can see where the Big Dipper is there. And I'd always learned as a young man that if you wanted to find the North Star, that you just looked for the Big Dipper and you followed the front of the Dipper, and it would point to Polaris, our pole star. A really interesting thing to add to that is if you follow the back edge of the Dipper, it points down to Regulus. And if you follow the bottom of the Dipper across, it points to the nebula in Orion.
Yeah, and I want everybody to also know that this orientation is shifted at 90 degrees.
Yes, north is to our right, and west would be toward the top of the image, south would be to the left, and east would be to the bottom of the image. Correct.
That is correct. Okay, let's go to image number 5.
Okay, image number 5 is just without the satellite image. It's the constellations. It's a little clearer to see now how the geometry and the constellations are laid out with just the pyramids I have drawn in there, but no background. It's just a little clearer image. And you can see in the bottom right corner there is actually Sirius. Right at the very bottom on the right. It's outside of the circle there. Mm-hmm. And you can see Orion over on the right of the outside edge of the circle. Mm-hmm. That's also in this image. We'll be looking at it a little later, and we'll see where the spiral is emanating out of that the nebula in Orion there, and we're also seeing that
right and
image too.
To the right of the belt of Orion, what is the red star?
That is would be Orion's sword, or the nebula M42 in Orion, and that is where I believe that they're mapping and saying that our sun was birthed, along with the Pleiades in Sirius.
Let's jump ahead to number 6. We've got about 4 minutes. I want to get the basics out of the way here. So let's go to number 6.
Okay, so number 6 is that same image we were just looking at, and I just added in some very specific geometry that they were putting in there. This is the clock alignment. If we look at the top toward the left, we see 51.27 degrees. Now that white line, that angle, points directly to the sun. And what they were doing is they were using degrees to mark years. So in our calendar, 5127 is going to be 5,127 years.
Very important. We visit that number so many times.
Yeah. Yep, that really comes into play here. And then the next angle we want to look at, if we draw a line from the Pleiades to the sun, it's at an angle of 23.5 degrees, which incidentally is the tilt of our axis. And there's a really major point with our relationship between the Pleiades and our tilt of our axis that we really need to delve into at some point a little deeper to understand that. But also there is a line angle that goes from Jupiter, which is right below the Pleiades there, where the 23.5 degrees is 153 degrees. That also points from Jupiter to the Sun. Very important angle. Number one, it's the angle of the Grand Gallery in the Great Pyramid. It is also, there's a parable of 153 fish that were caught, and with Jesus' parable of the miraculous draft of fish, of 153 fish, there's a whole story that links to that with that angle.
Okay, we've got 30 seconds. You want to wrap this up or go to image number 7?
Well, just a couple of the other numbers there are years and dates, and we can go to 7 if you want. And that is how number 7 image is a picture of Orion and the Barnard's Loop and the 9x9 template. That is how it's indexed on Orion with the 3 belt stars.
And there it is, the belt of Orion. We've got all of these up. We're up to image number 7. Everything is in Twitter. And with that, I'm going to take a quick break. Everybody go back and take a look at everything, absorb it, because we're going to be discussing this for the rest of the night. This is Fade to Black. Our guest is Ed Nightingale. We are covering Leonardo da Vinci and his great works and the Giza template. All of that and much more tonight on Fade to Black. I'm yours, Jimmy Church. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Ed Nightingale. We've got a lot of stuff in front of us. It's going to be a great presentation. Tonight, Leonardo da Vinci, his great works, and the Giza template with Ed Nightingale. Now, right before the break, we left off at image number 7. We are now at image number 8. What have we got here?
Okay, what we're looking at here, Jimmy, is we just zoomed out. There's Orion in the center. And we can see, I just drew in the spirals that are mapped out that come out of the Orion Nebula. And if you look, there's 3 different color spirals that comes out. The red spiral is our sun's point of view, our sun's path. The white spiral is the path of Sirius, and the blue spiral is the path of the Pleiades. And you can see as they wind out that, the Sirius is right on that path of the white spiral, and the Pleiades is on the path of the blue spiral. And that's very mathematically precise. And it involves angles and numbers that we were just discussing in the image number 6. These numbers of the year and the amount of years, the number of years, and this all pertains to the great year and divisions of the great year into these seasons or different positions geometrically within the great year that fall within the great year.
Fascinating. Let's go to it's all going to come together. Wait till we get to image number 10. Let's go to image number 9.
Okay, so image number 9 is just a little bit more information, and as I stated earlier, we can see the 3 main spirals coming out of the Orion Nebula in the larger image. Then within that image, combined with it, because they were showing us 2 views. They were showing us the path of the planet, our planet around the sun, which is the the zodiac constellations, and then the path of the sun, which is coming out from Orion. So there's basically two views put together there, combined. And I'm showing now how the satellite image with the pyramids align with the belt stars, and how these spirals come out of Orion, both in the image of the constellations of the zodiac and the larger image of Orion.
You know what, and I've looked at this so many times, and to see this go smack dab through the center of Khafre and through the crown of the Sphinx, the alignments with Khufu, Menkaure, it's absolutely frigging mind-blowing. And it's not an accident. It's not an accident. It cannot be. It cannot be. It's just unbelievable.
The odds of this being all accident, it's just, billions to one. I've got literally in my own research here, there's probably several hundred alignments that all would have to be a coincidence. And that's just not, that's just not possible.
No, it's not the case.
And it's very specific. And it's actually, as you stated earlier, it's actually very elegant and simple.
It is. It is.
If to teach a class, I could teach this class and teach very young people with limited, arithmetic and just basic skills can understand this and see how the measuring system works. It's mind-blowing is what it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's elegant. It's elegant. Elegant is the only way to put it. And now that we have gone through these first 9 images, including the cover of the 2 books, which are great because it's all there on the cover of the book, but you lay it out like this through these first 9 images, now you get it and you understand how solid the research and the math with all of this lines up, and you can now take this information confidently knowing that the rest of this is going to make sense, which takes us immediately to, let's kick this off, image number 10.
Number 10. There's our man, Leonardo, and that's a self-portrait of Leonardo. And what they were doing, him and a lot of the other masters of this, if you happen to notice where the top of the portrait there, they actually used the template to size the perimeter of the whatever painting or whatever they were doing, and there's a little gap between the top edge of our square template and the top of the portrait, and that by no means is an accident, and it's actually 1/33 of that square. So the width of the painting was made to the width of the square template, 9 units in width, and if the square was divided into 33 by 33, that top line where you cut the top of the portrait there is 1/33 of that square down from the top. So they first of all they chose, and this can be just done artistically. Imagine if I gave you this template as an art student and said, "Here, now I want you to take this template and I want you to draw whatever you want to draw in there, but I want you to use those specific lines, like in slide number 6 that I was showing those specific angles." Those angles are not really like the Fibonacci is a ratio. These lines are very specific. The degrees of angle of those lines, which also they're actually numbers and dates and years. So what they're doing is pointing out very specific dates and years. And they're mapping out the progression through the great year using this. But anyhow, there's the self-portrait of Leonardo. I want everybody to you don't have to understand everything. All you need to really do from here on in is just take note of the composition of the work and notice the angles that pertain to the features, the facial features, the pointing of the fingers, feet, etc. And
they're going to see
general composition.
That's right. And let's go to image number 11, and it right there, and you can toggle back and forth between 10 and 11, and just understand exactly what Ed is saying here. From here on out, you understand that these angles are deliberate. Fibonacci, the calculations, the degrees, everything is there and has been laid out for you. Now you get to look at the composition with the angles on it. And number 11, if that doesn't just make you sit back and go, what the hell is going on here? Okay, I get it.
So,
for me, can I say this really quick?
Yes.
Just if you just want your mind to look at Leonardo's nose, just right there.
That's where I was going.
Right there, and just sit back and go. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible.
Let's get to what that line is. That line is actually from his nose, the end of his nose down, is actually the angle and the location and position of the causeway that comes out of the Great Pyramid. And that angle is 12.212012 degrees. What that is a binary date of 12/21/2012.
I love
it.
So
that is the date of the galactic alignment.
Which is the reason why Rush made that album. I keep saying it to you, Ed.
Those guys were paying attention to some of this stuff.
I keep saying it. But look at this, right? Now, this is the thing. Remember the placement of this image. If you go back to image number 10, before you saw these angles, right? And you go back to image number 10 and understand before you saw the angles, the placement of and where everything is, including the bottom edge of this portrait. And then immediately go back to 11, the nose and that angle and everything else that's in composition in the famous self-portrait is not an accident. This is a very deliberate work of art.
Yes, and I would encourage anyone looking here, really zoom in if you have the capability, zoom in and look at all the geometrical, the use of, just like the curls in his hair. If you look in there real tight, it's amazing, and it's so beautiful. This really brings out a whole nother level of this artwork, Jimmy. It changes. For me now, I can appreciate beautiful art, but understanding this and knowing the deeper layer is even more amazing.
Well, it's his lips. Amazing. It's the corners of his lips, of course, his eyes, the eyebrows, the hair. But you just look at and you go back to the original angles without anything there, right? And then you go back to this and you see it. It just overlays perfectly. Okay, so now let's go to image number 12.
Okay, image number 12 is another Leonardo self-portrait. And this is more of a realistic painting, I guess. And again, we can see where he used the grid pattern to size the image in its height and its width. And if you look even closely at it's probably on a wooden frame. I would imagine it's on wooden frame, but you can see these kind of lines that are in the painting. There's like a white line there running vertically, and then one at the bottom. They all happen to line up with the divisions of the square in 33 again. And 33 is a very prominent number, and I've gone over that with you before in the that's all related to the calendar once again, and the degrees of elevation of Orion's nebula at certain points of time. And so anyhow, 33 is very important. But so we can look at this one again and move 13. On to the next and see how watch again his nose and his hat and everything, and just his eyes especially.
It's just insane, man. It's just so much fun. This is just so much fun. And the mouth, once again. Yeah. Just incredible.
And you can imagine these brilliant men that knew this. They understood this. This was an ancient Egyptian mystery school teachings. And it was being passed down for very good reason. This stuff was, the church at the time was against this stuff being taught. And I believe, there was a lot of very prominent men out there who understood and were teaching this. And, they were, you can imagine them sitting in these, classes or whatever, working together on these artworks and encoding this and discussing this and marveling over it, because it's amazing. It really is mind-blowing when you get your head around it.
Was he a Mason?
Well, I don't believe there was really Masons at the time. The Masons really didn't form until in America, officially it was 1733, which happens to be the degrees of Orion at a very specific date. That's all. I've covered all this. It's all in. I think I did on your show, or maybe even Coast to Coast, that we went over all this.
It's just incredible. It's just incredible. Let's. I'm looking at the clock, and we've got to manage to get to 20 somehow in the next 10 minutes. So we're at 14.
Okay. 14 is they call that the Nude Madonna, or Madonna. That was another piece he did and attributed to him. And if you look again, the width of the canvas, the portrait size is all again determined by the template. And again, just look at her nose, the tilt of her head, and the line that runs through her nose is the angle is 264.6 degrees, or 26,460 years is what that is indicating. And that is half of the cycle of the great year, which ends at 2012, which is what that points to at the top of the template, that then continues back down on the angle that the nose was on, and the great alignment of 2012 is on.
And
those
straight
yellow lines,
straight through again through Leo and the Great Sphinx, smack dab on it. That is just crazy to me.
Yeah, so they spent a lot of time just creating, being very creative, incorporating the coordinates on this template. And so that, any person knowing, like you saying, I look at this enough, so I can see. So these men they knew this, and they would look at these paintings and realize, there is encoded information in there, and they would be able to understand what was And this knowledge was kept that way. It was preserved that way, and also hidden from the average person, and I might say, the church and those who didn't want this to be public.
And remember, everybody, the grid behind this painting you saw at the beginning of the show. These alignments are already there. And I really appreciate in each one of these, by the way, Ed, at the top half of the painting, right, the open section that you see right there, well, that really helps to show the origination of the angles that were already there. And going right through the painting. It's not generated for the painting. These angles and the math and the Fibonacci and the degrees were already there.
Correct. And it's really obvious. The more you look, the more, I would debate anybody, anywhere on this. It's kind of a given. The chances of it, again, being a coincidence are far greater than this being real.
You said billions. I think it's trillions. The
probably,
odds.
I don't know. I'd like to get a statistician in there and. You're at billions when you're just dealing with a coffre. Okay. Probably. Yeah.
You start, we're only 3 or 4 paintings in right now, and with each one, it is going up by a huge ratio. Okay, let's get to number 16.
Number 16 is a portrait of a musician.
Okay.
And there, once again, if you look and see, this one, I believe he was using the, I think it's 17, the division of 17 of the grid. Now, we talked about 1733. So now he's using a grid of 17 by 17. So there again, it's encoding more information because we're seeing, he's got the 17 in there. So that's right off the bat, we can understand what he's doing there. So go ahead to 17. We can see once again, it's just beyond.
Oh man, this is great stuff, man.
Yeah. So anybody that you hear now, from now on, if you hear them say, about the smile of Mona Lisa and stuff, now we know. It's no longer a mystery. And by the way, Jimmy, I did not put Mona Lisa in here as an image, the original Mona Lisa, because I have a video on my YouTube channel, the Giza Template YouTube channel. It's just a couple-minute long video that shows actually how I literally recreated Mona Lisa just using the geometry. It's very explicit, and it shows how I was able to put that together. So the Mona Lisa is there for someone to view if they'd like to.
Okay, here we go. We're getting to some of the big stuff here. Let's go to number 18.
18. Okay, this is I forget this.
It's Madonna.
They call it the Lansdowne Madonna.
Right.
I think there's another name for it.
Madonna and Child or something. Yeah.
Another Leonardo. So again, we can see that one again is a 17 division. We can see the boundary of the size of the portrait, and let's just go to 19 and look at some of the placement of her fingers, of the Christ child's finger, and those angles, they were the ones I pointed out in the number 6 slide. The angle of 23.5 degrees, the angle of 153 degrees, that's what they're pointing out. And these are all very important angles that relate to the position of the Pleiades and Orion and our sun, and how they're moving together. They're moving from Orion away in a manner that we are related to them. We're related to the 7 sisters,
Every element, every element in this painting is here.
Yeah, it's the more I look at it, the more I get blown away.
Yeah, I know. You know what's really trippy? Her thumb.
Yeah,
man, that is just every finger on every hand.
Yep.
Every constellation is here. That is nuts to me.
Yeah, it is. And can you imagine the imagination and the artistic genius to be able to imagine this composition of, you know, the body, and how would you position that to do all that? You know, I mean, just what an imagination and time it took to really properly lay this out and make not only a beautiful painting, but a painting that was pointing to all these specific coordinates, telling us one hell of a story. The story is just beyond.
I mean, Regulus here, and Leo. It's too much, and it just start with the nose once again and the chin, and then follow everything through every element, every hand, every eye, the angle of the head, the hair, the ratio on the outsides of the bodies, the feet. That's.
Yeah, I mean,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
I hope other people are as excited about this as I am.
Oh, I'm watching Twitter. I'm watching Twitter right now, and everybody really appreciates all of your hard work. We need to take a break, and we somehow did it on time. We'll come back with images number 20 and 21. This is Fade to Black. I'm your Jimmy Church tonight. Ed Nightingale, 500th anniversary of the death of Leonardo da Vinci. Tonight we're going through his great works and the Giza template. More with that after this short break. Stay with us.